Hey everyone. Hello, hello. Good morning. I lined up a special artist to have a chat with today. I'm super, super excited to chat with this artist. I discovered Julie about 10 years ago when I was researching online abstract art, and I just thought she was so fascinating. Anyway, let me just see if she's ready to join us here. Let's just have a look. Not yet, but she will be here soon. Julie Schumer, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. I have never chatted with Julie before. So super excited because I really admired her work and how she, just her presence and her level of exploration. Oh, good. She's ready to join. I think you just have to click the little button, but let me give this a try. See if I have to ask you. No, I think you need to request, Julie. So give that a whirl. That'll be up soon. You guys are coming in saying hi. That's great. Ada, I saw Lori. Where did Lori go? Lori, Carla, Carolina, Sherry. Thank you so much, you guys. Okay, we're ready for Julie. Let's just see if she's coming in yet. Oh, there she is. There we go. Never know how these things, they keep changing things. All right.
Hey, Pauline.
Hey, how are you,
I'm great. How are you?
I am so super now that you're here.
Yeah.
So cool to meet you. I was just
Definitely.
saying, never met you before, but I've been following you for ages. So welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you know, there was a couple of weeks ago I was away and I was scrolling around on Instagram and I saw you again. I thought, oh, wouldn't it be great to chat with you? And I thought, well, we'll ask. You know, if you don't ask, you don't get, right?
Exactly.
So great to see you. So are you sitting in front of one of your paintings?
I'm sitting in front of a painting that is on unstretched canvas that I recently got back from a gallery that had had it for a while, and it had never really been out because it wasn't stretched. And so, like I said, I think it got here, I don't know, 2 days ago. And I thought, well, I hung it up horizontally. It was a vertical originally. I thought, well, I'll see what else I can do on this. And so that will be my project for the afternoon, you know, after we do this interview.
That's fine. So you have it just tacked to the wall then, because it's not stretched?
Right. It's just tacked with push pins to my wall, directly into the sheetrock. Okay,
great. And, you know, I've got this roll of canvas here. I'm dying to try it. It's not been primed. So I've bought gesso. It's not stretched. I've got boards that I can stretch it over, but I'm just dying to dig in. I guess I'm a little scared.
Well, you know, how big is the roll?
The roll, I have purchased about 25 feet, and I believe it's 60 inches wide. So I've got
perfect. That's perfect. You know, you can do a painting. If you figure you need 3.5 to 4 inches all the way around, you can do a painting that's going to be like 54 inches high or 53 inches high. Okay. And if you know, I usually tape off a border, and I have to retape the border on the one behind me so that I have my composition will be set within those borders. I don't have to worry about, well, if a stretcher, you know, inches into it, it's going to ruin the painting. But I would really encourage you to try it. It's a whole lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, you know, I've seen some of your videos where you're just having at her, and it's usually a huge piece of canvas or paper, and I'm thinking, oh God, you know, that's like my largest, I think the largest I've done is 3 foot by 4 foot. And you know what I noticed is I really enjoy the big sizes, but if I don't have dedicated time especially consecutive days, I find I get a little lost when I come back to what it was that I was working on. I don't know if
Right.
that's your experience.
Yeah, I mean, I try to set aside a good amount of time to work on a big one. But I have to admit, in the last few days, I was working on a pair of 48 by 36, which is what you're talking about. And it was almost too confining for me after having worked on these larger pieces. It was much harder to do it.
Sure, sure. Yes. And, you know, I just started working large again this year after last year keeping my sizes quite small because I was teaching and I'd run a course twice. And the only way to keep up my practice was to keep them small because it was just a crazy busy year.
Right.
But I felt like I was starting to like think in circles. So I just got into it January really. And it was like, breath of fresh air. But now I'm feeling like, come on, get out that canvas, and see.
Yeah. Well, you've got to do it. I mean, I'm lucky. I have a really big wall. I mean, I could have a 10-foot painting on this wall if I wanted to. I have a 20-foot ceiling here. And I have a 25-foot long wall that I have half of for me, which is plenty of room.
Yeah.
So there's usually, a couple big pieces of canvas pinned up at any one given time.
Right. Oh, someone just said hello to my two favorite people. Who was that?
I didn't see who that was.
Yeah, she said, well, it's abstract modern, so I don't know who that is, unfortunately. Okay. Now, how do I get rid of the comments? Well, shoot. So, Julie, do you want to share a little bit with people about, because I was reading up on you some more last night, and I discovered something that I didn't know about you, that you used to be a criminal lawyer.
I was. For 42 years.
Easy, Marise. So just share, because like whatever you want, and also how you got into art.
Okay. Well, I got into art, I think when I was about 4. My mother had me in like afternoon art classes of one nature or another, from like little craft things, from gluing macaroni onto a piece of paper with glitter to oil painting. That started when I was really, really young. And then when I was in, about the first grade, I was about the only student in the class who was doing de Kooning-esque paintings at the time. Everybody else was a photorealist, and I was a drippy abstract expressionist, and it did not play well in the Los Angeles city schools at the time. Yeah. But, I continued to go to like after school art programs my whole, young life. And I thought, well, I'll be a painter. But, my parents were very anti going to art school. I had to be able to make a living, and all that. And so being the compliant daughter that I wound up going to UCLA and getting a degree in English. And then I went on to law school at Loyola Marymount, which was also in Los Angeles. And I wound up being an appellate lawyer, which meant the route that I took of it, I wound up getting married and having 2 little boys. I could work at home, and I could, I had flexible time. My caseload would go up and down depending upon how much time I wanted to devote to it. But there was never any time for me to really do any painting. Right. I wanted to, but I just didn't have the guts to say, I'm going to do this now, because I knew the time commitment would be so huge and vast. And so I kind of had to content myself, painting with the kids in the garage and teaching them things to do. And they liked it. But then at a certain point in time, soccer was more important, and flag football and, all that. So that was sort of the end of doing much in the way of art. And then when the youngest one was not around much anymore, and this was like many years into it. He was like a freshman in high school. I started going to some little classes in my community. First I went to a ceramics class. There was a new little art center near me that had a few classes in the evenings. They had maybe one painting class, and they had a lot of pottery. They seemed to focus on that. So I went to that for a while, but it really wasn't my thing. I could tell that was not my medium. So then I lived near Walnut Creek, California, and the Walnut Creek Civic Arts Center had painting classes. So I started taking a few of those. I think I started with oil painting, which was probably ridiculous when I think about it. I had been an oil painter when I was much younger. So
Really?
I had never painted with acrylics.
Oh my God, that's
Only
amazing.
oils. I'm like an 8-year-old kid that has this full panoply of oil paints, you know?
Wow.
Oh, my mom spared no expense on this. I mean,
That's
she was
amazing.
very encouraging. And then when the time came to make some choice, they basically shut it down, you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, then I took an acrylic class, and I'm trying to think of the order of the classes. Then I took a couple of classes with a wonderful teacher in the Bay Area named Mira White, who's on Instagram. And those were terrific classes. We had a pastel class. I think I did a colored pencil class with her. Maybe a mixed media class. They were all, really informative. And then at that point in time, I was thinking about moving. I was in the middle of getting a divorce, and I decided that the Bay Area was maybe not going to be the right thing for me because of the real estate then was escalating. This is in like the year 2001.
Yeah.
It was not looking attractive financially. So I kind of ran off to Santa Fe sort of on a whim. My kids were in college, who knew where they were going to land? And we just went. We just kind of picked up and left. I was still working as a lawyer at the time, and I could do it from afar because when you're in the Court of Appeal, you don't go very often. And they had telephone oral argument, and they subsequently developed conference system argument. So it wasn't like I had to show up a lot.
Right. Well,
And on the times I did, I would get on a Southwest airline flight and either go to the Bay Area or to Los Angeles and do the argument, and that was that.
wow.
So that's how I kind of got back to it. The first house that we had in Santa Fe had a large garage, like a, I don't know, 600 square foot garage, which became the studio as well as store. The whole thing wasn't studio, but we had 2 people painting in there, plus a lot of construction materials, which is one way I got started using those unconventional tools, because I would just go into my spouse's toolbox and see, oh, this might be fun. This might be fun, and start like that. Oh, the sheetrock, mud, that'll be great on a piece of paper. So it helped encourage experimentation. But then, let's see, we moved here in 2002. 2007, we were able to purchase a studio in a warehouse district.
Wow.
We had sold a rental house and had, some money to invest in this. And we were at Home Depot one day, and right behind the Home Depot here, there was like a business park type of place with various warehouse spaces that house, contractors, developers, people like that at the time. And they were just remodeling this bank of warehouses. And so we were able to get one, right away before it was even finished.
Oh, that's amazing.
And it's about 1,700 square feet. And we tricked it out with really nice lighting, because in the beginning we were still living, out in the country, and we didn't have ready access to it. So we would rent it out to people to use for their own show, like for the weekend or for a week. And a lot of people who had no other way to show their work were thrilled to death. They had a place that they could have a show. And we had wonderful shows here.
Wow, that's amazing.
It was really nice. And then a few years later, we moved into town, and we were much closer to the studio. And at that point, we took it over for ourselves and ceased to do this show thing. We gave ourselves shows, basically. But we were already in a gallery on Canyon, so we really couldn't do that very much. But yeah, we've had this building since 2007.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, it's great. It's good for workshops. It's good for having open studio events. It is 5 minutes from home, which is the best. We can run back and forth all the time.
And I remember before I moved here, I think it was your studio that I was looking through your Instagram pictures.
Mm-hmm.
You
Probably.
got really awesome tables, trolleys on wheels that have a couple of, and so I was like, ooh, designing mine based on yours, because I mean, if you can move those things around, you can configure your space to
We
however you.
can. And we have a couple of movable walls, big, they're large,
Ooh.
that we use when we have the open studios. You know, we kind of can reconfigure the big room and hang more paintings up. And they're also, they come in handy for workshops too. People
Yeah.
can paint on those.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got the first two tables. A friend of mine had been a faux finisher here. And when she moved, she gifted us the tables. And then maybe in the first year of COVID, we had somebody build us two more. So, because we were kind of short on the tables. I got tired of using the banquet tables because they couldn't be moved. That
Yeah.
was, you know, a little inconvenient. But yeah, there's plenty of room here. You know, there's usually paintings. I'm looking at them spread out all over the place,
Yeah.
unless we clean it up. But which we do occasionally, you know. But it's two people's worth of work here, so it's a lot of paintings.
Yeah,
And most of them are big.
yeah, that's amazing. You know, I remember before I ever, I wasn't doing art. I was still a graphic designer, and I met my husband. We just were dating, and then after a couple of years, we started looking to buy a house. And I said, I want a garage so I can throw paint. And we didn't get that. It took us a couple of places. Now we have a really big garage, but he wants it, which is totally fine because I've got half of the bottom of the house, which, I mean, I've got a quarter of our house is my studio.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's about 500 square feet. And
that's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's perfect. The last studio had really high ceilings, which was nice. These are a little bit lower because I'm on the first level, on the bottom level. And so I have to watch where I'm throwing paint because I have hit the ceiling a couple of times.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, we have plastic on the walls. I buy these rolls of 10-foot plastic by 25 feet, I think, at Home Depot. And then we just, you know, put them on the walls. So our plastic is about 10 feet high. And I actually had
big piece of plastic, but do you I lay it on the floor and I've got a wall over the wall. The wall is over the wall, and then there's all these screws in the wall so I can hang paintings. But you normally paint on unstretched or stretched canvas? Usually
unstretched.
Yeah.
Because I have these odd sizes that you cannot buy, you know, like 56 by 44, 66 by 54. You know, you can't really buy that. Now, I'm sort of starting to rethink that a little bit because we've had some shortages of stretcher bars here recently. It's getting more and more expensive to get that done. I don't do it. We don't do that kind of thing anymore.
Yeah.
And so the other day I went and bought a couple of 60 by 48s and to see if I could, you know, work with that. And I can also buy like 60 by 72, you know, already stretched. So I think I'm going to start going more to a combination of unstretched and stretched.
Well,
you know,
variety is the spice of life, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, if you can roll up a canvas and ship it to a purchaser or a gallery, it's so easy.
Yeah.
You know, and then they can take it to a framer and get it stretched. And I've done that a lot.
Yeah. Oh, that's good to hear. I mean, that's my thought too. I can paint more and I don't need as much storage either.
Well, that's the other thing. We were kind of running out of room to store these things. So rolling them up, and I go and buy like, you know, maybe 3 or 4 inch diameter 4 inch mostly, you know, diameter mailing tubes.
Yeah.
And then I tape them together so I have a long enough length for some of the wider canvas.
Is that how you store them,
roll them up.
Or you ship them?
I ship. Then I have a special box built for that.
Okay.
They call it a coffin box. You know, of course, it's all wrapped in bubble wrap and all that. But no, or sometimes I can use the box the canvas came in.
Right.
But usually it's too thin. It's too skinny of a box. It won't fit. You're like jamming the canvas in there, and that's not good.
Yeah.
But it's simple to do that.
Yeah.
And it's also so much easier to store them.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking. Not that I have tons of paintings, because like I said, I was really enjoying painting large, and then, you know, wasn't even with COVID, but because we moved, and then I I created this course, and I'd already been coaching. So there was just, you know, you just have to pick your battles, which ones you focus on. So now I'm going big again. I'm really excited about it. But I have a data transfer that I'm almost finished going from one platform to another. So that's just like, that's taken up months of my life already.
Right. Well, there's a lot of details to this business, you know, there's a lot to run. Yeah. And you just have to kind of, you know, make a schedule for yourself. That's what I do. I pick my battles for the month. Like, what am I going to focus on for that month? And then that's what I do, whether it's searching for galleries or it's making sure, you know, doing all the photography that I haven't done. Whatever the topic of the month is, that's what I do. And then I, you know, try and paint the rest of the time.
Yeah. Now, so do you find, because I know you run a few courses, do you find that you have, how do you, you know, create chunks of time for you to paint? Like, is it a couple of days a week? Is it a couple of weeks a month? Is it, you know, every second day? Like, how do you fit that in?
It's really hard, as you know. I mean, I have, well, the classes I have on my own, they are available all the time. So it's not like I have to do much with them at this point. I just have to do the busy work that comes when people sign up, you know, the administrative work. Yeah. And of course, I do have a monthly Zoom for that. For anybody who's in one of my classes gets a monthly Zoom. And every third month we do like a 2-hour live painting thing, you know. So that's the Zoom for the month. I just did that the other day. Cool. I also have classes with Kat Tesla. We have a Boldly Abstract that we just concluded. And then we have a Business of Art course that's ongoing. Yep. People can sign up anytime. There's 4 of those. And then we have a Business of Art membership program, which we launched last summer. Okay. And, you know, so all of this takes a lot of work. I'm constantly creating new content for the membership program. Yeah. I know. It's a lot of content. And I try to stay like 3 months ahead in case something horrible happens. You know, I know that I have the content in the bank basically for 3 months.
That's really impressive. You know, I have 2 memberships as well. And one, we meet 3 times a month, presentation. And so there's always content that I'm creating there. Right. The other one, I am creating content and a course within that. And I've got it now where I feel like I'm, you know, but at the beginning, it's like, oh my God, what have I up for?
I know, it's a lot of work. And you have to kind of get into the groove of it before you know what you're doing with it.
This is true. You almost have to start it and you don't even know what you're doing. And
you don't really know what you're doing. It's true.
Yeah. Now I'm impressed that you're that far ahead, but I, you know, but everybody's different too. Like I find I like to be prepared, but I also get some of my best ideas. I'm coming close to the XYZ. I don't know why that is. I don't like waiting to the last minute to do something, but we're all different. And as long as you're loving and using your assets to the best of your ability, that's what we're meant to do anyway.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, like if we have a set content schedule, but if something comes up that we want to do, we'll just alter the schedule.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, that's, you know, it's not a big deal to do that.
Yeah.
And then I'm ahead for the next, you know, few weeks or whatever it is. We post new content weekly and we have a monthly Zoom.
Okay.
Is how we're doing it.
Partner in this?
Yeah, Kat Tesla.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're doing this together. Cool. Yeah.
That's so great. So I had this one question that I came up with in my mind last night, looking over, and it was, well, as a criminal, I'm backing up a bit, as a criminal defense lawyer, you have lots of experience with the behaviors of people, and then I'm thinking that you're feeling around that too. So do you feel or think that any of that has somehow come into your work in a way of maybe how you process, or maybe just, well, you do the, you know, you're experiencing the opposite, or what? Like, I'm just curious as to how did it fold in at all for you?
You know, how could it not? I mean, I did it for so many years and I had so many horrific stories, you know, that I came into contact with that were just beyond the beyond. That they were so sad that there was no way some of these people were not going to wind up the way they wound up.
Yeah.
The deck was so stacked against them that there was no other way out for them. And I'm sure that it seeps in. I mean, not consciously,
No.
but unconsciously for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Well, and I was reading about how, you know, your work is so amazingly expressive. I've got my iPad up here so I can look at
Okay.
it. It's so amazingly expressive, and I love watching you work too. And I was watching you working before I started this live, and I just thought, you know, I almost feel you feeling through your tools. And you know, but you have been painting for quite some time too. Do you remember when you noticed that's what you were doing, or that you've always felt like you were expressing through your arm, through your tools, in, you know, with the paint or charcoal?
You know, I don't think I always felt that. I probably felt it more when I was, you know, 7 or 8, but not when I was like 46 or 7, you know, when I went back to it, for sure. I mean, I've been painting now for like 22 years, you know, consistently. And but by consistently, I mean like every spare moment that I can do it. I mean, I live a sort of a cloistered life, pandemic or no pandemic, you know. Painting is the most important thing to me. But I think, I don't know, it took me a while to feel like one with the tool and all that. And I was afraid at first. You know, a lot of people make comments on Instagram posts and everything like, oh, I'm so loose, I'll take risks and I'm not afraid. Well, I didn't start that way, but I just kind of pushed through and it became like that. I would say maybe 5 years in, it became easier like that. I don't know. I think there was kind of a shift in my mentality when I turned 50, which was like a while back, where all of a sudden things that I had been afraid of before didn't bother me for whatever the reason is. I could go into that court of appeal and stand up there and, you know, say whatever I felt like saying, as long as within the confines of the protocol, you know, I didn't have to like worry about it. Whereas before it had been difficult for me to do that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. But I don't know, somehow 50 was the great leveler for me. And then things became much easier. I felt more confident about it. And, you know, at the end of the day with painting, especially acrylic painting, you know, you can't really make a mistake that you can't fix.
Yeah.
So it doesn't pay to be gingerly about it, really. I mean, you just have to go for it.
Yeah, it's true. You know, just this week I've been working on a painting that's really not going. I mean, it just keeps going, and then it goes this way and then it's that way. And I just decided, you know, I'm just going to use this one here because the other ones are going well. I'm just going to try out my ideas, which I do anyway on all of them. This one's a belligerent little child. And so I ended up doing some research on creating fluid paint, and then I decided to try it out on that paint. So I did that, and then I wanted to try some other idea I had. And, you know, I think that, like, here's one of the things that used to trip me up that doesn't anymore. And that's, you know, showing something on Instagram and then everybody loves it and then you're afraid to touch it. And everybody loved that painting. And I thought, it doesn't matter. I mean, thank you, everyone, for the kudos. But I still, like, it, first of all, I didn't. So it has to be the search for what it is that I'm looking for, whatever that is. And I don't even know what it is on that one. No, I know what I'm trying to do over on the ones behind me, but that one, I think I'm actually trying to push to something very risky, and I keep trying and dipping my toe in, and then I'm pulling back again. I think if I had to be a psychologist chatting with me, I think that's what I'm doing, you know, but
well, you just have to keep pushing forward. You know, a lot of times I'll do a painting and it's perfectly nice. Okay. And I'll post it up. And like you say, it gets, you know, a gazillion likes. But then I think, how does this painting advance my painting practice?
Right.
And I'll say, well, it doesn't. So it's dispensable potentially. I don't really need to keep this one around. And I'll just do something else on it.
Yeah, because it's comfortable, perhaps.
It was too comfortable.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody has requested a painting like that, well, that's another story.
Oh, yeah.
But if I'm just, do painting for myself and just moving my practice along, well, if it doesn't advance my painting universe, it's not of much value to me.
That is a really good, I think you guys write that down. That's really good stuff there, because we are always evolving. We're always trying to get better, whether it's more in touch with ourselves or our tools or our materials or how we feel or what it is that we're trying to do. So if we're not pushing, we're not actually stretching, right?
Right. I went to a workshop 22 years ago, and the person teaching the workshop said, you should paint like every day is your last day of painting. And I took that to heart.
Wow.
Really. And that's how I kind of view it.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, not to sound morbid or anything like that, but it makes you push yourself.
Yeah. And we've heard that saying quite a bit. So you really have to actually imagine a little bit. Imagine a little bit. All your paints are going to be removed tomorrow, or you're removed. So what are you going to do with them today?
What are you going to do with them today? How are you going to push yourself forward and take a risk today? I mean, it's boring just to stand there and keep painting the same thing.
Yeah, well, it is for me too. And I often, when I'm struggling, I shouldn't say often, I don't think about this in the studio, but sometimes I go up and I see an older painting that's really nice. It was like, I don't even remember if it was easy or not to create, but I thought, well, why don't you just do something like that? That was easy. Sure. 10 years later, I think it was easy. You obviously don't remember the pain you went through, but I don't actually want easy. I'm a person who doesn't even read instructions. I got to figure it out first before.
I don't read them either.
Really? Oh my God.
I just try and push through it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even like on the internet, if I've got, creating a course, I didn't take a course to learn how to do that. I just got the thing and I started putting things together. And after I got frustrated, then I looked up, well, where does this thing go? I don't know why I have to make my life so difficult, but I think a lot of people can relate here. I'm sure people here are not instruction readers.
Nope. Although I have to say, when I decided I was going to do the online courses, which was a course, I had to cancel all my in-person workshops for 2020. I said, you know what? I have to do this online. Yeah. And so I said to my spouse, you're going to be the videographer here because we're not going to let anybody, we can't bring anybody else in. And I said, and I did sign up for a course. I took a course on how to do a course, and I built my course at the same time I was doing that other person's course. Yeah. So that was a huge amount of work because I did it that way.
Yeah. Well, it is, no matter how you slice it, it's like, it's crazy. Crazy. I created mine. One of the artists at the end said, I want to know how long it took you to design this course and put it together. And it was a 6-week course. And I said, well, I want you to guess first. And she goes, 6 months. And I said, no, I did it in 2.5 months. And that was like full on. And it's a hefty course. Yeah. Videoing and content. And, my husband, get out of the house. Gotta do it over again. Yeah. Like, you guys.
I know. I did mine in like a month. I set myself a deadline. And of course, mine's a 6-week class, the first one. But it wasn't as packed as yours. It was meant to be done a little bit more leisurely. And I just said, we're going to launch this thing on X date. And that's just the end of the story.
Oh, wow.
And so that's what we did.
Artists really are so amazing because, and this is the asset that I try to remind artists of, that we are very, very resourceful. Like, ask questions of yourself. I know we can ask questions on social media, but honest to God, we have we got to, and we can figure stuff out like nobody's business. You know?
Oh, yeah.
And the nice thing about that is that then it's yours, like
Hmm.
truly yours.
Right.
Like you didn't take a course, or you didn't reach out to so and so to ask them how do I create this kind of look. Figure it out. That's just
Hmm.
so much fun. Well, maybe just for me, I don't know, but
Well, no, I think you have to be experimenting all the time,
yeah,
whether it's building these classes or in your own painting practice.
yeah. Yeah, I
That's
mean, I look at art. I look at art making. It's the most beautiful expression of exploring your ideas. You get to
hmm
think something, you get to try it out, you get to see whether it works, you get to course correct if it didn't
right.
the way you wanted, you get to solve that problem. I mean, that's like a creator, an engineer's like greatest dream is to just
Hmm.
do all this. Do
Yeah.
it all for yourself, you know?
Like the painting behind me, what little you can see of it, I view that as a puzzle that I'm going to solve
Yeah.
over the course of, the next little bit of time. And we'll see how it gets solved.
I love that. I love it. I
Yeah.
can't believe we've been talking for an hour already. Is this true? Oh
No,
no.
half hour,
Oh my
35
God.
minutes.
Like,
Yeah.
holy
Yeah.
shit, how did that happen? Okay, good. So I can see part of your painting, and I got some of your images up here. I just love your mark making, and I remember what drew me to you in the first place was, and I'm looking at them right now, that these figures sometimes emerge in your paintings. Now, this one here is from December 2010. So are you still exploring that, and do they still emerge, or
Are you speaking of like those figures on paper that I used to
yeah,
do?
yeah.
I'm not doing those now. Those I did for a long time. And those, they had sheetrock mud on the paper. I used to use nails I found around the garage to draw into that mud.
Beautiful.
They were total experimentation. I mean, I just built that process one painting at a time
Yeah.
until I figured out what the best way was to make those the way I wanted them to look. And they never worked well on canvas. I could not get the process to please me on either panel or canvas, only paper. They were a
Wow.
paper series. And, I sold a ton of them on Canyon Road over like a 12-year period. And then when the owners of that gallery retired, which was like at the end of November of 2019, that kind of was the end of it. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't feel, I just felt I was so sad at them, you know, leaving the business that I just didn't have the heart to keep on with that series. It just,
Wow.
and I really, in a way, it was better for me because I had never had enough time to explore my abstract work, my large abstract work, which is what I wanted to do even more.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I kind of shut down the figures because I didn't really need to have that duality happening anymore.
Yeah.
I never could really marry the two series together in a way that I liked.
Yeah.
So I just kind of put them aside and I haven't done one since.
Well, that's really interesting. A couple things, because one, I was trying to figure out how to move from doing representational
Mm-hmm.
to abstract. And I think those paintings were sort of halfway between what I wanted to leave behind and where I wanted to go. And I remember sitting on the couch with my whatever laptop looking at them. And then I found a YouTube video of you where you were
Uh-huh.
talking about the process and
I
stuff.
think I think I did a small one on that video.
Yeah.
Yeah. A
Amazing.
15 by 11. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I remember you mentioning some construction compound, but you didn't say what it was. So I started to try to figure out, well, what to use. And I was buying all these different things. But what I also wanted to say was that isn't it interesting how a life change can make you
Mm-hmm.
also shift? Like
Yeah.
something out here shifts in here as well, and then you
Right.
shift also again out here.
Mm-hmm.
What it seems like you're sharing with me right now.
Yeah. But I bet if I tried to do another one today, I could access that whole thing like and not have missed a beat, I
Oh
think.
wow.
because I did so many of them. I did them in the hundreds.
Wow.
It was like I could do them in my sleep. They were very meditative. It was a really great process. Oh, yeah. Physically, they weren't challenging. I had them on a table, and I would like just be standing over them on a table. I didn't usually put them on the wall. It didn't work that well. Or I was on the floor with them a lot.
Yeah.
You know, on my knees, basically.
Yeah.
But no, I have about 10 of them left.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Do you have them up?
No. Well, about 3 of them are in a frame, and the rest are in a portfolio.
Right.
But
right.
I was thinking that one of the framed ones I might put up in the studio.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, wouldn't that be interesting, hey?
Yeah.
There are pieces that I don't have up. They're stored. And there are some pieces that I have to have up.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are real risky, or some of them I felt were really successful. There's one that's really, I don't think it's successful. It is up, and I keep on looking at it like, you need to come down. I need to get into you. But then I wonder why. I got new ones that
we try and vary the rotation here of what's hanging and what isn't.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. And I like, there's screws in the wall that have a certain size painting on them. So I'll just try and replace that with the same, size if we have that around. So we're not constantly screwing into the wall. But yeah, just kind of vary it up and give new inspiration.
Yeah. I see a question here. I'm going to see what it is. Can we see one of the figure paintings? Okay, so do you have one handy?
Let me go upstairs and I'll pull one out.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to walk to my second level of the studio. We have like a loft area, which is about, a quarter of the square footage of the entire building. I actually have one in a frame. Let's see. Here it is. I have to put it where you're going to be able to see it.
Yeah.
It's a 30 by 22 on that's framed, and I can't put it on a paint can or anything because it's too heavy.
Sure.
But okay.
30 by 22, that's kind of a standard nice paper size.
That's a full sheet of watercolor paper. So I'm going to get down on my knees, and let's see, how can I want to change the camera. Oh, I see.
Camera.
Yeah. There it is. Oop.
That's the one I'm looking at on my iPad.
Yeah, that's one. Let me back up a little bit so you can see the frame.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I'll kind of go close so you can see the detail of the painting.
Yeah.
This was one of the last ones I did.
I love it.
And it's classic. I mean, it has all the classic qualities that made them a pleasing series.
Did you study figure drawing or figure?
Not at all.
Wow.
I felt myself to be completely incompetent figure drawer when I started doing these.
Everyone, there's hope for us yet.
No, the way, I'm trying to think of which was my first one. I think, I'm trying to go back to me. Doesn't want to do it. I think I used a nail. I had a piece of 30 by 22 watercolor paper that had some acrylic paint on it. And I wanted to put the texture on. So I put the I kind of randomly put sheetrock mud on with some kind of a trowel that was laying around. Then I took a nail and drew this figure into the sheetrock mud and then did paint on and off over that. It was really a fantastic painting. I drew with a nail.
Yeah, but you let it dry before you put the paint.
Not that much.
Oh wow, that's
just some.
Yeah, fun stuff, to explore. And I love that you used a nail because those two things are related. Not that it needs to, but
no, but they are related.
Yeah,
and that was a great painting, and that kind of kick-started the series.
Wow.
And then I kind of experimented from there.
Yeah. See, that's just so, because why not try something new?
Why not?
Yeah.
I approach every day that I come here with I'm going to stand up now, with a why not attitude.
Exactly. That's brilliant. Julie, someone asked if you use oil. I think she asked if you ever use oil now.
No.
No,
In
you
fact, I gave my oil paints away to somebody.
yeah.
I
And
just wasn't using them.
yeah, oh, you just weren't using them.
No. And I thought, why should I keep these around?
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice that you gave them to somebody. I
I
bet you.
gave them to a friend, and I have a couple of oil bars that I use, and that's about it.
Yeah. So
It's just too toxic.
You use a lot of multimedia in your work. Well,
I do.
It's so much fun.
Definitely it's fun. But I don't even use oil pastel that much because it's so hard for it to dry.
Yeah.
Although in the New Mexico dry climate, it's not that big of a problem, but still it takes a long time.
Yeah.
For you, it's probably worse.
Well, in the summer it gets pretty darn hot here.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. When I use oil pastel, I'm pretty I'm gingerly about the amount or how much area it covers, so I don't have to worry if I paint over it because it's line, right?
Right.
And then I will, I might put some sort of sealant over it so that whatever I'm doing next, I just don't have to worry about it. I mean, sometimes I'll scratch through because I want to excavate what's underneath, right?
Oh, definitely.
I know, that's the fun part. Just throw it in there and keep going, have fun, explore. We get to be creative explorers here. That's what I love the most.
These figure paintings had a lot of excavation in them with one kind of tool or another.
Yeah. Wow.
So, yeah.
So when you painted those figures, would you put down anything on the first layer of like a dark color before you put the compound over?
Yeah. The way I did it was I would take a bunch of kind of bright colors like orange, teal, red, black, yellow, and I would randomly cover the paper like in just strokes. And then I would put the sheetrock mud on. After it dried, I'd put the sheetrock mud on, but I didn't cover every square inch of the paper. I used to leave like some along the edge, so the color was like peeping through.
Right.
And the thing about the sheetrock mud was when you put water on it, it would kind of melt a little bit. So it was perfect. It was the perfect surface for applying paint with like one of those blue shop paper towels and then rubbing it off.
Yeah.
And doing this kind of endlessly.
Yeah.
And that's what made them so interesting, I think.
So it sounds to me like patience is good too. Like it's one thing that you want to foster.
Oh, patience. You must have patience. Patience and perseverance are the two things that are mandatory for this. Now,
you said your workshops are pretty much, you can just buy them and do them. Do you work with artists where then, or maybe you did more in your live workshops, that you find that impatience is something that we often suffer from, that we want to get to the end quickly, or we want to see the results quickly, and you find that too, right?
Yeah.
I don't find that so much for me. I find that I will kind of get at a spot where I'm unsure of my move, but I often just leave it alone for a while because maybe I'm just like tunnel visioning in on it, and I need space to come up with new ideas. But I think the patience thing is important, and I wanted to know if you wanted to speak about that a little bit, because
I think I almost call it more faith too, that you are going to get through the painting. A lot of people will always ask me, well, how do I get through the middle? I mean, that's always in all the classes that I teach. Getting through the ugly middle phase is everybody's, Waterloo pretty much. And it seems to be. And people are afraid to make a move, that they're going to ruin it. And so I think you have to have faith that in the end it's going to be okay. And you just have to keep pushing through on it. If you make a wrong move, it's going to dry. It's acrylic paint, and you just do something else over it.
Yeah.
It's not life-threatening. It's not the end of the world.
It's true. I find with the middle phase, that area where I get stuck, that can often be where I can't see a design anymore. Maybe on my back,
Right.
kind of hanging out in the middle. Maybe I've used a lot of one color, so it doesn't really, like, I'm not really
Hmm.
being able to see a move. It's like maybe the
Right.
chessboard's too full, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where maybe I just got to throw some light paint on to see what happens so I can see something else, right?
Uh-huh. Well, that happened to me yesterday. I had started these two 48 by 36s in my Zoom on Thursday, as kind of a demonstration. And so by the time yesterday was like halfway over, I was in the weeds with these two paintings. I didn't really know what I was going to do. And then, so I said, okay, you can do this. If you can stand in front of the Court of Appeal, you can certainly paint these paintings. you know, if you can write these briefs, you can paint these paintings.
True that.
And so I just worked through it. And they both came out really nice.
I think that, I think that the whole thing about fear of ruining,
Mm-hmm.
right? And also, it is true that sometimes you really can't see anything anymore. Like,
Right.
or this particular painting that I was working on, for some reason, I keep sticking to the top of the painting. Like, for some reason,
Uh-huh.
I need the color up there and everything has to be light. And it starts to become a psychological battle. Like, why can't you get a shape to the bottom? Like, what is
Right.
that about,
You might want to just turn the canvas around.
I should do that because
Yeah.
I can't seem to be able to get anything down at the bottom. Like,
Yeah.
just turn it around.
I usually keep turning mine around. Even if they're big ones pinned on the wall, at some point they get turned around. I mean, not as often as might be optimum because it's a physical difficulty,
Yeah.
but yeah, they don't always wind up in the same orientation that they start.
Now, if you, though, find that you really like how it's oriented and it's really like there's
Uh-huh.
happening there, I will flip it around to see if
Mm-hmm.
it feels just as good rotated,
Right.
rotated. Because I mean, if it looks good in all rotations, I'm like this, right?
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Experience.
It doesn't always work that way though.
No, it doesn't, and it doesn't mean it's not a good painting either.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
especially if you have like a lot of drips like I do, it's going to look peculiar in at least one of the four directions,
yeah.
I think.
For sure. And in the end, you just want to create something that you're happy with.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, we want strong paintings and whatever it is that our intention is or what we're exploring.
Uh-huh.
But you also want to have fun and you want to enjoy and you want to be happy with what you've done. And if it doesn't look good upside down, don't hang it upside down.
Right. No, I mean, it's a fun thing, but it's also you're kind of working out your mental gyrations of whatever you need to work out too. You're plumbing your unconscious, which
Yeah.
is good.
Yeah. I like that term, plumbing your unconscious. Do you ever find that you're in like a design mode and then it could be 20 minutes later or a day later, now you're in like this is just expressive mode? Do you notice do you notice that?
Well, I usually start in way more expressive mode. And then as things develop, and get toward maybe partway through the middle, then I get more into design mode.
Yeah.
And I start thinking more about what is this going to turn out.
Yeah.
I try and remove thought and judgment, in the beginning and through mainly a lot of the painting too.
That's great.
A lot of time for me, they don't come together until like the last minute.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Or maybe it's like, the last 25% of the time I spend.
Yeah. That's magnificent. I mean, if we can stay joyously exploring through most of the painting and keep stepping back and seeing like, is there anything happening here? Or can I just
Well, okay, the painting that's behind me right now, it looks like a bunch of like crazy lines, but it's a 60 by 48 and you're only seeing like a tiny bit of it.
Yeah.
So I worked on this painting last weekend and I started it with sort of an end game in mind, which was of course the exact wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
But I had a reason for doing that. I was sending another painting to a gallery and I wanted to have sort of a companion piece to go with it.
Yeah.
That was the theory, right? So I could see I was being too gingerly about it. I was pussyfooting around. with the thing. And it was okay. It wasn't like, it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't any kind of genius painting. And I had it up here and I thought, this is not working for me. And I came back the next day on Sunday and I just kind of took 20 minutes to do what I wound up with because I just didn't think about it. And it wasn't precious anymore. It didn't matter. It came out, was going to come out how it came out. And if I didn't like that, I would try something else.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't have anything to lose if you're not really in love with it anymore.
Right.
Yeah. Some of the time, if I have something that I really love, I will just kind of let it hang in my studio and be my cheerleader. And
right.
I'll love it. And I'll look at it and I'll even get ideas from it. And and then others are going really great. And then I don't care. I'll grab it and I'll throw paint at it. And it usually makes it better, right?
No, it's nice to have your painting friends around you. I think, if you're in need of a little bit of inspiration, I usually have one or two close at hand.
Yeah.
That I can, seek strength from.
Yeah. I think it's why not? Right. Because
why not?
There's lots of confronting times that we have where we're standing there going, I haven't got a clue what's going on. So at least got a couple of good ones hanging around.
Yeah. And you can do it. It'll give confidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can do it. I think a lot of the biggest stumbling block for so many people, from what I hear artists tell me, is they don't have the confidence that they can repeat a great experience.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that I think that the more you take risks and see it through, the more confidence you gain, because now you see what your risk taking makes.
Right. Exactly. So you just have to take those big risks and make a bold move.
Yeah. I've been enjoying watching some of your tool chats lately. And, you guys, if you haven't gone over to Julie's site, and I think I'll whenever this is done, I'll make sure you're tagged and everything. But you got to go check it out. I mean, she's got so many tools and she's so imaginative and it's so freeing. I find when I put the paintbrush down and I pick it up either a different way, but more importantly, grabbing something else, I just like the sky's the limit now. It's something like almost like I've just entered a whole other game.
I think using something other than a brush just encourages experimentation automatically, because it's not a paintbrush.
Yeah.
And you want to see what marks will this item make.
Yeah. I think our brain, it's so amazing because it will compartmentalize information so you can get on and do the stuff that you do. The thing is, though, we learned how to use pencils and paintbrushes.
Right.
We were young, and your brain goes, okay, this is how you hold it.
Right.
Yeah. You've got to sort of break that out of that so you can access your creative place, like your freedom, right?
I think you need a whole arsenal of unusual things, or things that are just not a paintbrush. A toilet brush, a shower brush, squeegee, one of those fiber dust mops that you can get like in the grocery store. Like a dusting thing. I'm trying to think, all kinds of things. Like the construction tools, the construction scraping tools. Yeah, there's so many things and they're not expensive either.
No,
they're way cheaper than a brush.
Yeah, yeah. Anybody just starting, go to the hardware store or the dollar store.
The dollar store or the grocery store cleaning aisle.
Oh, yeah. I love cleaning brushes. They're the best.
Yeah, there's a ton of them.
Yeah.
So, just do anything.
Just go and open your mind and explore.
Right. It's all about exploration.
I'm seeing we're at like an hour, so we can still do a few minutes. I think record after that, right. But I want to be cognizant of your time too. Yeah. And anything that you want to share as we wrap up. But before you do, I just want to thank you so much for joining.
Oh, my pleasure. It's been fun.
Because I've been like, you're my hero. You're like, I met you, and then somehow it was like, ooh, Instagram. Oh, well, where's she? You know, and
Uh-huh.
just I love it when I'm scrolling and I see you, because you remind me to just like remember to go and explore, shake your arms loose, don't do that, you know, just
Mm-hmm.
so
Yep. And
thank
me telling other people to do it helps me do it myself too.
yeah, well, this is it, right? Because
Right.
yeah, we do. I think the teaching part too helps us remember to keep exploring,
Right.
right?
You have to be honest. I mean, it keeps you honest,
Yeah, it's
I
true.
think.
Yeah, I gotta fill my own shoes up. I
You
gotta
have to
walk.
walk the talk.
So if there's anything you want to share before we go, then
No, I'm so appreciative of the opportunity to have a nice chat with you. I love seeing your work through my feed all the time too, and
thank
seeing what you're up to.
thank you. Well,
And I
maybe
can't believe it's 10 years since I've known you.
I know. And this is the first time we've chatted, isn't that
Uh-huh.
it? Maybe we'll do it again one
Yeah,
time.
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right.
Well, thank you so much, Julie. Thanks everybody who came and
Thanks
watched.
for having me.
Wonderful. And I'll see you on the flip side. I'll email you
Okay.
that you can get access to this.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Take
Bye.
care. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.